Hi, this is Heather from McGraw-Hill, and in this video I'll be walking you through the features of ALEKS from both the instructor and student side. We're going to start off on the student side and walk through exactly how ALEKS works, and then I'll show you how to use it as an instructor to change the time that you spend in class with your students. So ALEKS stands for Assessment in Learning and Knowledge Spaces, and it's been around since the 90s. Was developed by researchers from an NSF grant, and the whole goal was to figure out what do students know and what do they not know, and how do we figure out the accurate path to help them be successful, and then apply that to math. So what we're first going to start out with is the student view. So this is exactly what students would see the first day of class when they log in. Just be aware that as we move through, I'll have some extra help, such as hints and solves, so we can get through the demo a little bit faster. So ALEKS is a personalized way to learn at your own pace. It figures out the topics you already know, and then helps you take the right path to success. And there's a series of things that will be happening, but basically students will be learning something and then being assessed on what they learn. Learning more and being assessed so that we can accurately understand what they've really retained and mastered, not what they've just guessed their way through. So we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to just walk through some of the basic functionality of the website. So we have our main menu here at the very top left of the page. Any notifications we have would show up here, such as if our instructor sent us a message. And always, if you're not sure what to do, the one thing that you do in ALEKS is you follow the directions on the left navigation menu. So it always suggests what to do next. For example, take the tools tutorial is next. And if we want to work on something else, if we have other assignments such as a quiz or an exam coming up, we can work on those things as well. They'll be listed here. So the first thing we'll do is walk through the tools tutorial. And ALEKS requires students to do this before they do anything else. The reason being is most students have not used a computer for math, and even if they have, they may not know how to enter in their responses. So we want to make sure there's no barrier for them being comfortable using the system. So it's just showing me how to use it. So for example, type 14. Okay, correct. This is how we would clear our answers or undo. Next, we'll move on. If we need to enter a fraction, we'll click on the fraction icon, type in the number, click on the other box, type on the number. Here's an example of how we would enter an equation. And you'll just use your keyboard. And then if we need to use the exponent on top of that, we'll click the exponent button, type in the exponent, and we'll click on this blue circle to leave the exponent part, which takes us back to the full screen. If we click on the blue circle and hold down the mouse button and highlight, we can then make the whole thing into a fraction. So they're basically going to be guided through how to do these steps. We're going to go ahead and skip the rest of the tutorial. It takes the students about 5 minutes to complete. You'll see this little skip tutorial button I have would not be visible to your students. And here's an example of how we would use the graphing features inside of ALEKS. So we would click on the pencil, put it to our point. Now we'll grab the ruler, move it to the point, and then we're going to drag it down. Again, click the pencil and hold it all the way to our point. There's also instructions to use the calculator. So it's only allowed to be used for some problems. So when the calculator is enabled, you'll see it right here on the right side of the page for the problem. If it's not available, it'll be grayed out, which means students won't be able to use it. So we suggest if the calculator is not available in ALEKS, students should be really working out the problem with paper and pencil, because that's the actual skill they're working on for that particular topic. All right, we'll go ahead and finish the tutorial. Once we've completed, it tells us, congrats, you finished your tutorial, and we'll start our knowledge check. So before ALEKS can accurately predict what we do and do not know, we must first take a knowledge check, which assesses in between 25 and 30 questions our baseline level of knowledge coming into the class. Tell students that it's very important that they take this seriously. While it's not counted for a grade, it does impact the amount of work they will have to do in the course. If I really struggle in the knowledge check, I'm going to have to get a lot more topics correct in the course versus someone who does very well in the knowledge check. So they should take this seriously when they go through. This is not timed, and again, it does not count for a grade. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Knowledge Check. And it says, before you start your initial knowledge check, remember to stay focused and don't get distracted. Have a paper and pencil ready, and don't get help from others. Take your time and try your best. So depending on how I do, that's how many topics I'll need to learn. Quick example of what's to come. I'm going to work through these problems, and if I don't know the answer at any time, I can click I don't know. Although I should really even try if I don't, because clicking I don't know assumes I don't know how to work on that topic. So we'll go through and solve some of these, and I'm going to use my cheat button here to solve to get a couple right. If I don't know the answer, I can click I don't know. It's going to say, are you sure you want to click that? And I do, so I'm going to click I don't know. And it's going to bring back some easier topics for me. If I continue to click I don't know, it's going to bring back to where I was successful and try to figure out where my knowledge gaps really are. As students work through, there is a progress bar at the top, and again, it will take somewhere between 25 and 30 questions to finish the initial knowledge check. So let's assume we finished the knowledge check, and because I'm in a demo, I can pick the level of knowledge. Let's go ahead and say, because we're in a developmental math course, that students have a moderate knowledge level coming in. So out of the 600 topics in this course, I already know 282. So I have 318 topics remaining. So for a student, this is pretty encouraging because even though I have a lot to learn, I don't have to learn it all. So I'm not going to be bored with the stuff I already know. I'm going to be learning new content. The color part of the pie shows what we already know, and the gray shows what we're going to learn in the class. So the pie is in my pie tab, and if I click on any of these slices, I can get more information on how many topics I've mastered, if I've learned any, and how many I have remaining. I haven't learned any new topics yet. We also have a timeline view, which will show me how many topics I learn each day, anytime I have a knowledge check, or any other assignment I work on. So the next step in ALEKS is really the learning mode. So we're going to go ahead and click Start My Path. A couple of things to mention here. ALEKS will only give students content or topics that they're ready to learn. And what I mean by that is students have a 92% chance of getting a topic right the first time it's presented to them. So we don't want students to get discouraged and walk away because they're frustrated. So we want to give them topics they can be successful at. So before I start working, I'm given my topic is translating a phrase into a two-step expression, and I'm given an example question that I would see and an explanation of the answer and the answer. So then, when I begin to start working, I click Start. The very top of the page, there's a progress bar showing how many correct answers I need in a row to consider this topic mastered. And if we need help, we have an explanation button here at the bottom. So here's my question, and let's say let's go ahead and work this one out, say we solved it, so we got it right. We'll move on and click Check. Okay, correct. You'll see my progress bar just added one, and I'll move on to the next question. Depending on the question, students will have to get between 2 and 4 questions right to have this added to their pie under the Learned category. Now let's say I'm really struggling with this one. So if I wanted, I can get the explanation. You'll also find resources here on the right side of the page. So for a lot of the topics, there's a video listed. You'll also find the ebook if it's available, and you can message the instructor right from this page. But let's say I'm still confused and I don't know how to work this problem out. If I click on explanation, I'll see an exact explanation for the problem I'm working on. So where students may have gotten stuck in the past because they didn't know how to solve something, they always have an explanation for the topic they're working on, and then they can go back to more practice and they're given a different problem. Because all of these problems are algorithmic, no students are going to have the same 2 problems in class, so it's really impossible for them to cheat while they're working next to each other. The other thing you'll notice, there's no multiple choice questions here, so students actually have to go through and solve the problem and put in a free-form response. 98% of all questions inside of ALEKS are free-form response, so there is no gaming the system or guessing until you get it right. You really do need to solve it, answer, and then complete, 2 to 4 questions to have it added to your pie. We'll go ahead and answer a few more correct with this one. Show you what it looks like when we get to the pie when it's added. And we'll do, it looks like we're going to have to get one more right here. All right, so you'll get, as soon as you add a topic to your learned status in the pie, you're going to get some kind of congratulations, keep it up, way to go, because we want students to be motivated by these small wins. It's important that they know they're progressing in the course. At this point, I can go back to the home page or I can continue on my path. It's going to automatically serve up the topic I'm most ready to work on at that point. And when I say most ready, I mean you have the best chance of being successful. I mentioned earlier that students, any topic that's available to students to work on, they have a 92% chance of getting it right. We've now put all of these topics in a carousel, and the topics that are closest up here on the left side to the student even have a higher chance, more like 98% chance. So if they want to work through the course, and this is what we would suggest for them, in this order, it will be the easiest for them because they have the prerequisite knowledge and have been successful in the topics they need to complete these new topics. And they can just minimize that at any time. So you'll see here, I've now added one new topic to my pie. So now I have 317 topics to go. If there's any due dates, like my class needs to finish chapter 2 by a certain day and time, those topics will come up first for me as well. And there'll be a due date here. So you're working towards objective 1, due next week. It's going to push me to work on that first and show me how many topics I need so that I can get the maximum number of points possible. A few other things to point out. On the home or on the navigation menu, students can also see reports, their grade book, calendar of anything else that's coming up due. And under the reports, one thing that's really been helpful for students, there's a lot of different reports, but the one that I really recommend them taking a look at is the ALEKS Pie Report. This breaks down for students everything that they're ready to learn, everything they've learned, and everything they've mastered. Now we consider learned and mastered 2 different things. In order for the learned to move into the mastered, they'll need to answer questions on a knowledge check correctly on that topic. So students will be given a knowledge check, another knowledge check, anytime they complete 20 topics or spend 10 hours inside of the system. So with that, we can start to really add in what they've been mastered. And if they don't know it yet, it stays in the learned category because it really has not been mastered. The other thing you'll notice is we had 317 topics still to go in the class, but ready to learn is only 121. That's because I don't even have the prerequisite knowledge yet to start to work on those other topics. So ALEKS only serves up the topics I will be successful at. As I get those prerequisites added into my knowledge base and learn more topics will be ready to learn. But for somebody who needs to really have another place to go for guidance, this is a great report to see. You'll also see, once they take another knowledge check, any topics they lost in the most recent knowledge check that they had mastered before. Okay, that wraps up our student view inside of ALEKS, we'll now move into the instructor side, showing you the reports and capabilities you can use to make your class time more effective. I'm now logged into the instructor view of ALEKS, and you'll see here on the home screen for instructors a number of tiles, and these are the same types of tiles on the student side, although now we're given information about our whole class. So at first, my class information, how long the class is, if it's associated with a book. The ALEKS Pie report shows how my class as a whole is doing on the pie. A time and topic report, and we're going to go through this in more detail, but you can see how much time students are spending on ALEKS as a whole each day or week or month. Any students I have that have not recently logged in, their progress overall in the course, overall grade, and then if I go to the second screen, there's also a lot of information around what they've learned, what they're ready to learn, what assignments are coming up, and how they're doing on their objectives. All of these tiles can be rearranged, so you can put the information that's most important to you in the place that you want it. So we went through a lot on the student side of how ALEKS works, how students are following their own personalized learning plan to get to the end result of mastering their pie. But I want to walk through what that means for an instructor. So I want to show you a few of the reports that are available to you inside of ALEKS. The first one we're gonna actually look at two today. The first one is the ALEKS Pie report, and the second is the time and topic report. So we'll go into the ALEKS Pie report. And you'll remember we went into this for the students so we could see what they knew and what they were ready to learn, which is great for one student. But when you're responsible for facilitating or teaching an entire class, that becomes a little bit more challenging. So again, here's that pie for my whole class. And let's say I am teaching a particular area, like whole numbers, today in class. Click on whole numbers. Here are the topics that my class is ready to learn, meaning that 44% of my class is ready to learn this topic, and it's available in their pie right now for them to work on. If I wanted an example of this problem to work up on the screen or on the board, I can click on that name of the topic and it gives me an example. If I click on explain, it'll also work out that problem for me. We can do it as a class together. So just a great teaching tool that kind of serves up some of the topics that are most ready for your class to learn as a whole. Now in many cases, your course will be organized by chapters of a book, meaning that even though students are working on their own pie and their own path, they're still kind of restricted or pushed to a certain chapter at a certain time. So for example, we could have chapter 4 due next week, and so we've really been having the class work in chapter 4, and that's what ALEKS is telling them to work on first because it's counting for points. And then I get to class, and as an instructor, I'm like, okay, well, I need to teach this subject. How would I know where to start? Because they're all working on something different within the chapter. So this is really how you can use this report. We break out in this pie report every single topic covered, and this is just section 4.1. So you'll see we break it down very granular. You'll also see 41 my class is at 42% progress, meaning they've mastered 42% of these topics. Now, let's say I was planning on covering decimal place value, tenths, and hundredths. But I look at this report, and 89% of my class already knows this, meaning I only have 11% that doesn't know this topic. Maybe it's not a good use of my class time. When I click on one of these numbers, it opens up who is ready or who has not learned this. So for example, I have 11% of my class that does not know this topic. If I click on this, it'll show me the 3 students who have not mastered the topic or have not learned it. And from here, I can send a message to them right through ALEKS saying maybe something like, I see that you still haven't learned this topic. Let's take it together before or after class to review quickly as a group. There's also 2 other columns over here. So ready to learn means it's in their pie and they can work on it. And then attempted not learned is really important. So that means students have tried it inside of ALEKS, but they have not learned it, meaning they did not finish that progress bar at the top. So for those students, that means they really may be getting frustrated. So it's a good time to reach out to them to say, okay, I know you've tried this. Let's get together and see what really hung you up and try one as a group. So you can essentially use this report as a teaching mechanism and almost like a lesson plan to help you know what you should be covering. So for example, 19% of my class has learned this topic, meaning 81% hasn't, but no one else is ready to learn it, meaning it's not in their pie, they don't have the prereqs, so I need to start a little bit further back to make sure they get them up to speed. Again, if you click on any of these topics, an example problem will come up that you can work together as a group. So that's the ALEKS Pie report. The other report that's really helpful is the time and topic report. Instead of the time and topic report, you'll see the amount of time spent in ALEKS for a particular date range that you set and how many topics are mastered each day. So as I scroll down, I can see all of my students listed, the total amount of time they spent in ALEKS, when the last time they logged in was, the total time for the date range we've selected, and then every day you'll see how much time they're spending in ALEKS, along with below that, the number of topics they've learned against the number of topics they've tried. If I click on any of the students' names to dig in a little further, I'm brought to the student detail time and topic report. So this is the actual student who we have Robert Doyle up here. And I can again look at week, month, all, or for a particular date range. And for this period, he spent 5 hours, 54 minutes, learned 26 topics, and tried 5 but not learned them, which is great to know. Right here, you'll see the amount of time he spent. If I click on this blue category, it shows the amount of topics he learned. From here, I can see a lot more information. So I see at 11:27 a.m., he was working on this particular topic. He got 1 wrong, 2 right, 1 wrong, 1 right, 2 wrong, until finally he mastered it. So he spent a lot of time just working on this one topic. If I want to know what he was getting wrong or right, I just click on the X. It'll tell me what he got wrong or how long it took him. If I click on this magnifying glass, it actually opens up an example of the problem he got wrong. And I can see, okay, he got it wrong because he didn't provide an answer. Well, that's helpful for me because that's very different than getting something wrong after trying. Let's say I want to see what happened later on. He spends 1 minute, 49 seconds in here and gets something wrong. And now I see, again, he did not provide an answer. So I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern, and I might want to reach out to him. Can also see if anything else happened during this time. So for example, here he got 1 right, 3 wrong, and then finally he said, okay, he clicked on explain to get some additional information. And if I want to see what he saw as an explanation, I can dig into this. So for schools looking to find a way to use this for tutoring or remediation or work one-on-one with students, this is incredibly helpful because not only can you see how long students spend, you can really see how they're interacting with every problem, how long they're spending on every problem, what resources they're using for help. You can see if they watched a video or clicked explain. So this report becomes incredibly powerful to instructors and also maybe tutors or other resources you have available to students. You also see right here he took a knowledge check, so he had mastered 25 new topics and he completed that on that day. So you can see when those periodic knowledge checks become available for students. So those are really the reports that I use the most, the ALEKS Pie report and the time and topic report. There are a lot of other reports and additional resources here, and you have the ability to create your own custom reports and even have them delivered to your email daily or any frequency that you'd like to receive them. To wrap up on the instructor side, I just want to show you how the class is originally built. Someone from your school may be building the course, or you may be doing that yourself, but I just want to show you the course customization that's available to your institution. So there's a lot of information here regarding the class, but I want to show you the objectives editor. Just because ALEKS is personalized to the student and what they do and do not know does not mean the school or institution cannot keep them into the same topics at the same time. So this is really how we set that up. So this is a school using, or an instructor using, ALEKS with one of our textbooks, and so we already have the content tied to every chapter. And so you'll see here, every chapter has a start date and end date. So during this time, students will be working on chapter 1, and they'll be working at their own personalized path to finish chapter 1, but they're still all working on basically on the same topics at this time. If I click on edit here, here's all of chapter 1 selected, but you really have the ability to drill down and decide what you want included in your class and what you don't want included. So while the whole book could be covered, you can also leave out particular topics or whole sections or chapters if you don't cover them. So there's a lot of customization available in the back end and ways we can set this up. This is one example of how ALEKS is set up to have a due date. So students get scores based on these due dates. So if I had as a student, if I had completed 70% of my topics on this day for this chapter, I get 70%. You can also set it up to be due without end dates, which means that students progress not by dates, but by progress level. So when I hit 90% of chapter 1, I can then move on to chapter 2. Just a little bit of a different way of setting up the course. So that will end our short walkthrough of ALEKS. I look forward to working with you and answering additional questions as they come up. Thanks, and have a great day.